The first step is to scruff up the existing finish that comes on the parts. These are silver paint or some kind of coating. I don't believe that it's metallic. It appears to just be a very high quality silver paint, in this case over black plastic. Once you break through the initial gloss, the black begins to show through in spaces, and that gives it a more weathered aluminum look. I didn't like the large unbroken span on the bottom of this, so I'm making an aluminum patch to be applied to the bottom of the tank or wrapped around the side partially to give a little bit more interest and to break up that large unbroken flat area on the bottom of the left side tank. This will be applied with just a little bit of epoxy. I'll paint it on the back of this tab and glue it in place. I considered putting rivets around the outside, but getting them evenly spaced and trying to make that effect look proper seemed a little bit above my pay grade right now. I might experiment with that in the future, but for right now, just a plain patch. I'm just using the edge of the tank to fit the patch around it. I put the top on the tank and prepared to install it. I'm not using any electrics on this particular model. The lighting and everything will pass through a connector to the base, and everything will be controlled from within the base. So I don't need to have the electronics inside this left fuel tank, and you'll see in the next video on the right fuel tank I did not need the battery compartment, so that was removed. So right here I'm getting ready to attach the tank to the frame from the underside, and one of the bosses was a little tall, so the tank fit over it, but it was proud, the boss was proud of the tab for the tank, so even with the screw tightened all the way down, it let the tank wiggle a little bit. So you'll see that I had to file down the boss, and I brought it down so it was flush with the mounting tab, and that allowed me to sock down the screw good and tight and hold the tank firmly. Here's where I identified the problem and figured out that at first I thought the screw was bottoming out in the hole before it got tight, and then afterwards I realized that it was just too tall. The screw was seated all the way down, but the boss was proud of the fuel tank. In hindsight, I could have just put a small rubber washer or nylon spacer behind this and just spaced it up a little bit to get the screw to bite and lock down. This solution is a better one. It was more work, But you can see here where the boss sticks up through the mounting tab, which didn't allow the screw to push down on the tab properly. I had someone comment about me putting the model down upside down and not having any padding or anything and being worried about damaging or scratching something. Since I'm weathering this model so heavily, flipping it over and sliding it around on my bench a little bit, I'm not real concerned about. Any marks like that I can either touch up or leave them and mark it up as wear. The filler necks on these just had a flat cap on them, and I wasn't real happy with the way that looked. I used a resin printer and printed up some additional caps to glue on top of those. One says Links, one says Rex, left and right in German, and that was glued to the top of the existing filler neck and then painted with Maltau. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. Maltau chrome, liquid chrome. The refill for their markers works beautifully in an airbrush. You have to apply it fairly heavy, but it does give a nice chrome finish. The rest of the tank was given the usual oil washes. This is just standard oil paint, some browns, a little bit of black, a tiny bit of red maybe. I never make the same batch twice, it's all by eye. And it's just applied to the model and then wiped off until it looks what I think looks right. This is the same method I've used for the entire model. I'm not real experienced at doing this. Getting better, I think, and I do like the way it came out. The brownish gives an oily stained look. The wear through on the black gives an oxidized aluminum look. The edges of the patch picked up a lot of the color, and the natural crevices in the molding picked up a lot of the color. There on the right you can see the existing cap painted. That ridge down the middle is the lettering when you get close, and you can see it a little better here. This is the one that says Links. Next step, I believe, is 33, which is the right side fuel tank.